continued walking, and we had no choice. He forced us to go out in the water to get him.
You always have a choice. You always have a choice.
Stop with that.
He forced
Okay, so drop your back. You're going to go to jail with him.
Wow, some contact. Buet decided to arrest her for saying, "You always have a choice."
Earlier, you refused to help me get your husband out of the water when I asked you to.
Okay, first off, the man Buet is referring to is not Teresa's husband. Even if he was, she would be under no obligation to help get him out of the water.
Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. It's Rob, and I'm one of the Freeman people.
It's the Freeman people.
Hey everybody, it's Rob here. A link to who I am is in the description below. Anyway, let's jump right into it. A few months back, we received an email from Teresa Bucala sharing her experiences standing against tyrannical law enforcement officers enforcing illegal rules. After going through the videos she shared, there's a lot to cover. So this will be the first in a series of videos that will show the true colors of the Blue Line Gang, and how tyranny can be held at bay if you're willing to stand up and have your voice heard, and maybe be arrested. Our story starts back a couple years ago in coastal California during the time of the dreaded beer bug, a time when authoritarians across the country took liberties away from citizens while disguising their actions as a way of flattening a curve. And it shows a disturbing willingness to follow decrees and orders from tyrants by the mindless droids who enforce those orders.
We're not asking you if it's legal or not. This is their detention. This is illegal. We're just helping them out.
It's good to see, however, that there are still plenty of people standing up and exercising their God-given rights in the face of tyranny. Before we get going, though, let me share this tweet from California's governor from June of 2020. Protesters have the right to protest peacefully, not be harassed, not be shot at by rubber bullets or tear gas. Today I am calling for the creation of a new statewide standard for use of force in protests. Acts of violence against peaceful protesters will not be tolerated. Let's take a look at the Carmel pine cone from July of 2020 and see how well Gavin's tweet was applied by law enforcement. Its cover article tells the story of ultimate defiance, as Santa Clara resident Jay Ensley committed the crime of ducking under police tape and walking his dog along a closed beach while cops barked orders for him to leave the area, quote, for his safety. You see, this particular beach must have been a really fertile breeding ground for the beer bug because local officials closed it in order to protect us from danger. It turns out the police knew something Jay didn't. The danger wasn't an exaggerated virus. It was Officer Buet. That was one heck of a hit. Well, the caption below these pictures reads, "After following him for a mile as he walked in the surf in defiance of the closure of the beach Friday and repeatedly ordering him to leave, police officer Joe Buet went into the surf to stop Santa Clara resident Jay Ensley, tackling him. Other officers helped get Ensley back on his feet and handcuffed. Ensley's dog apparently thought the whole ordeal was great." Well, it's a good thing, too, because if the dog tried to defend Jay, it would have been on the business end of the officer's authority.
Hey, I'm a cop, and you will respect my authority.
The story goes on to say a little while later that officers, quote, contacted a local stained glass artist, Teresa Bucala. Teresa was our contact for this story, and she provided body cam footage of that supposed contact.
What's your location?
Well, he had to go because your husband refused to get out of the water when he's instructed multiple times to.
Okay.
And we gave him warnings that if he continues, that he will be arrested for 2 different offenses, right? And he just continued walking, and we had no choice. He forced us to go out in the water to get him.
You always have a choice. You always have a choice.
Stop with that.
He forced
Okay, so drop your back. You're going to go to jail with him.
Wow, some contact. Buet decided to arrest her for saying, "You always have a choice."
Earlier, you refused to help me get your husband out of the water when I asked you to.
Okay, first off, the man Buet is referring to is not Teresa's husband. Even if he was, she would be under no obligation to help get him out of the water.
Okay, so now you're also going to jail. Okay? So you will only be charged with violating the first for entering a closed area. Okay? As long as you don't resist or anything, that's the only thing you'll be charged with. You understand? So you're gonna need to provide your information. Okay, when you get booked at county jail, you're both going to county jail. If you fail to provide that information, they will keep you as long as they need you to provide your information. So if you continue to non-cooperate with them or us, basically you'll be held.
Lincoln 3 return.
They have no recourse.
Send for, I got another one in custody.
I do not consent to a search.
Have you what's the location?
I have every right. You're violating my
Phoenix and
rights.
Ninth. It's the other guy's wife.
I do not consent to a search.
Do you have anybody that can do a major? Do you have anything in your front pockets, man?
I do not consent to a search.
You do have the right to remain silent.
I guess this is Officer Johnson's clever way of telling her to shut up. What a class act.
You got a bag or a...
No.
That's her bag, right?
Yeah.
Lincoln 3 Carmel, sorry.
Good.
Just for information, that lady that I just need to talk to, she did call back saying she was on the beach as well, waiting for contact.
Send for, that's gonna be her. She's the one we have in custody.
See how the officers contacted her? That must have been some sort of code that means they abducted her for civil disobedience. Something the governor spoke out against less than a month prior. Gavin must have called the wrong people that day when he called for the statewide standard, or perhaps he was just tweeting ironically. After watching Teresa get arrested for saying, "You always have a choice," and seeing the pictures of the tackle on the beach, I was curious if Officer Buet planned to apply for COVID amnesty, so I reached out to the Carmel Police Department to find out.
Carmel Police.
Hi, I was wondering about Officer Buet. I was curious if he was planning on applying for COVID amnesty.
He's applying for COVID amnesty?
No, I was wondering if he was planning on applying.
I have no idea.
You don't? Okay. So, I mean, recently an article went out, asking for COVID amnesty because people were simply acting with limited knowledge on how to handle the situation during the time. And, looking at some photos from 2020 and some videos and stuff, I see him tackling and arresting some people for being out on the beach. I think he might be a good candidate for COVID amnesty. I mean, he was acting with limited knowledge, right?
I have no idea. I can transfer you to his voicemail if you want to leave him a message.
Oh, sure. That'd be great.
Okay, hang on just 1 second for me.
The person at mailbox 2330 is unavailable. Please leave your message after the tone. When done, hang up or press the pound key.
Hey, I'm not sure if 2330 means Officer Buet, but anyway, my name's Rob. I was calling, wondering if you were applying for COVID amnesty, if that was your plans, because, people back in 2020 were acting with limited knowledge, and I would contest that you're probably always acting with limited knowledge. So, if you want to reach out and chat a little bit more, that'd be great. Amnesty. Yeah, Officer Buet deserves about as much amnesty as he offered Jay and Teresa out on that beach. That tackle, however, reminds me of someone who played foosball for the Mud Dogs in the Bourbon Bowl. As I said in the intro, this is just the first video in a series from this area in California, and the tyranny only gets worse from here. The next one shows when Teresa was arrested on a defective warrant while trying to pick up the body cam footage that you saw in this video. We have abandoned far too many rights for the illusion of safety in our lives. If there's anything to learn from the scamdemic, it's that there are too many people who are willing to comply with silly rules in a time of worry and panic if a person in a perceived position of power makes a promise of security. The numbers for the contact info, email, and social media links for the Carmel by the Sea Police Department are all in the description and a pinned comment below. Please feel free to reach out and let them know how you feel about this behavior on the beach, and tell them that you will not stand for any tyranny.
Thanks for taking action against tyranny. Here's a couple of videos you may have missed, and while you're at it, check out the Freeman People merch.